everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to get started on part 2 of the Grimsly Manor tutorial. And we are actually going to work outside today. It's a beautiful day here, not a cloud in the sky. Temperature is going to be in the upper 60s, maybe hit 70 today. So it's just a beautiful day to be outside. Light wind, so I think we're going to be okay to work out here. Plus, today we're going to get a little dirty. We're going to get a little styrofoam pieces going everywhere as we start sanding and carving. So I figure we might as well just do that out here. We do live fairly close to an Air Force base, so you're going to hear some jet noise, which to me is the sound of freedom. But I have noticed in my older age, it starts to wear on you after you hear it for most of the day. But I love it, irrespective of that. So, hey, with that, let's take you off the tripod and kind of show you where we're at and explain what we're going to be doing today. Okay, you can see the house, the Grimsly Manor and the garage set up. Nothing has been touched since the last time you saw it. What I did forget to do, and what we are going to do the first thing, is we talked about maybe putting another stairway on the side of the mansion so it can come up and you know, have double entries on each sidewalk piece. And so we're going to do that. We've got the Proxon out here and ready to go. And then some of the other tools that we're going to be looking at and exploring today. One is the Ryobi. It is basically a pencil type rotary tool. I've got the sanding block on there now. This thing can go from 5 RPM, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 35. That's all times 1,000, as you can see there. So goes quite fast, and it's battery operated. The battery simply plugs into the back. That's that. And then you've got all these accessories that you can use with it. We're just going to use a simple sanding block on there today. And then I've got this wood burning tool that I've picked up. We'll go over that a little more in depth. I found out that I really like this. It's more pencil-like, it's more ergonomic. And quite frankly, it gets a little bit hotter, or you can control the temperature any way you want it with different heads on it to do most of our carving and detail work. I think I'm gonna go with some stone work, and it's gonna be sort of a kind of the stacked stone, bigger, thicker stones, more of a gray look versus bricks on this. And then we're going to take care of the driveway, the stairs, and I think I'm going to use the tinfoil. Well, I know I'm going to use the tinfoil rolling technique here on the driveway, and on the stairways, all 3 of those will be done. But I think I'm going to also just kind of roll out some walkways, kind of almost like a big cross coming out of the doorway and then across to each side of the stairway to allow, just similar to the concrete texture on the driveway, to kind of mirror across the rest. We won't have to glue any kind of brickwork down or cobblestone. Now, we could certainly do that. That would be quite simple, and you've seen me do that before. But today I think I'm just going to do the tinfoil rolling technique and dent that in pretty good. Again, that's why I like to use the pink styrofoam because it holds texture so much better. And I say pink or green versus just the white, because it holds texture so much better. So that's kind of what we've got planned today. We'll get started. I'm going to put the camera back on the tripod, and we're going to cut this stairway out. Okay, so you can see we've got everything set up here, and what I'm going to do is just remove this fence like you saw me do the last time. Well, we're just going to freehand this piece here. I've just got to make sure I've got enough room between the tripod, and I'll adjust everything as we get going. I just want to make sure that I've got good coverage here, and I think that'll work. And hopefully you guys are going to be able to see that. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit. And I'm going to put this on a pretty low setting. We're going to go down to about 1. Power is on. I'm going to swap out some sunglasses for some old man glasses so I can see. And we're going to get started cutting this out. So, just going to kind of trace what we've done here. Okay. I shut the Proxxon down. I'm going to turn this and come this direction with it. Okay, now I'm a little farther than the line, and that's okay. I wanted it to be a little bit deeper anyway. I've just got to make sure that I try to keep everything straight. Or at least straight enough. Okay, and then this cut I will just, I'm gonna have to go this way with this one and bring it back towards me, so, and that's okay. Okay, so we've got our stairs cut out. You can see the hole there. I'm going to shut this down so we can reconfigure. So it's not perfect, but it's not too bad either. Put our stuff off to the side here. Okay, so we're going to put this back on. We'll slide this up a little farther so you can see a little better. And what we want to do is sort of make the stairs about the same thickness as what we've got these stairs to be. Obviously, you remember these stairs. And so we want to sort of make these look about the same, okay? So what I need to do is, what I forgot to do is grab a pen or a marker. So let me grab that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the marker, and essentially what I'm going to do is just simply kind of turn this around so you guys can see. I'm just gonna try to line these up pretty close. I mean, they don't have to be, you know, perfect, but close to where I kind of know where to cut. There's a little small little pieces that need to come off of there. So something about like that will get us close, okay? So that's kind of what I'm doing there. We'll put these back off to the side. We know that's the front, and it's probably not a bad idea to label these, at least on one side, of front, 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 and that way we know those will go there, and then these will be part of the side. Okay, so here we can use the fence and just line that up right about like that. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more, maybe to 2, not anything crazy, and just start running this in through like this. Okay. Okay, let's turn this off and see what we look like. We're gonna have to have one more for sure, but I wanna see sort of what this fits like over here. And I'm gonna turn this where you guys can see a little bit better going this direction. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is get all these out of the way. I'm gonna turn this where you can see as well, and then kind of see what we're working with here. Okay, and then for the top one, we need something about like this. So just make another line, something about like that. And then we'll cut that second piece here. I'll just pull this into view so you can see. Again, I'm just going to line this fence up close and bring it right through that line. we're pretty close to that line. It doesn't have to be exact, but okay. And then we've got a piece that fits like so. Now again, it could be one way or the other, probably more so this direction. And so now we've got our stairs. So again, now we need to cut them a little less and a little less. Now I don't need to measure every stairway that I plan on cutting because it's all relative. So this one, we're just gonna take, this is the, I wanna see which side fits the best in here. It's clearly, you guys can see there. Either side really works. It doesn't make a difference, really. I think that is the correct side. I know it is. So I'm gonna take off just a touch of front. And when I say a touch, I'm talking just a minor little piece, just enough for an indentation. Okay, so when I say small piece, I'm talking something like that. And so then that stair is going to stack with just a little bit of curb, a little bit of foundation overhanging. So when we round it, it'll look a little bit better. Okay, so then we go with our second piece, which we're going to take a little bit more off of. And I'm just going to kind of wing this, right? So I'm just going to kind of, we may have to cut more. We probably will have to cut more, but I just want to see what it looks like initially when I do that. So we're looking at something like that. And then for this one, we want to cut off quite a bit more. So we're looking at something maybe like this. And again, we may have to cut this down as well. And I realize that you're getting to see none of this. Okay, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And then I'm just stacking these in there sort of like that to see what they look like. So I think I will take just a touch more off of this one. And when I say a touch, I'm talking just a small little indentation here, something like this. Something like that. Set that back down in there to see what it looks like. That looks good. And then just a small indentation off of this one, right on the front to get that waviness out, just to see what that's looking like. And that one's going to need to come off a little bit more. So we're going to take another small piece of this off. So you see how we're just trial and error to really see what your steps are going to look like. So we've got something now about like that, and to me that looks pretty good. So we'll shut the Proxon down. I think we're done with that for now, and we'll move on to the next piece. So let's get that out of the way. Let's get everything set back up here and see what we're looking like with these stairs. And to me, again, that looks pretty good. I'll get it a little bit closer so you can see, but that looks pretty good in all angles of the stairs. So not bad. And then just like before, where we said, hey, we want to kind of angle this kind of coming this way. All this will be kind of ground down. Same thing over here, kind of, and we're just kind of marking it so we know that that's the areas that we want to grind down. You can see that I've done the same here. A little bit more on the leading stairway out in the front, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Same thing over here, and I'm just highlighting these so I know exactly where I need to cut, or sand rather. And so that's the next thing that we are going to be doing. So I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way and get the tool set up, and then we will start to sand. Before I do that, I want to pull these staircases out and mark these side. So I can put them maybe on the bottom, side, side, and side, where these are labeled front. So I've got the stairways all squared up, and sometimes it's easier to kind of, if you're concerned about which side goes where, just draw a line down them, like so, and then you can be, rest assured of, what side that you want. I don't know that we've done that with these, but it's easy enough just to run a mark right down them so you know how they line up. All right, so those are our two sets of stairs, the front stairs, the side stairs. These are our garage or driveway stairs, and for the life of me, I don't remember how this went. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. So this is gonna be driveway. Putting a DW on there. Okay, and then something like that, I think. I just want to see if that looks right. I think it probably does. Yeah, so that works just fine there. So we've got driveway. I think I'm just gonna put it down here. Something like that. And then we are good to go. So I will remove the driveway. I will remove these and then line them up just like we did the others. Just kind of like this. And that way we know that those are our driveway stairs. Okay, and then this is scrap. We'll hang on to that for later. Okay, let me reposition and we'll start carving with the Dremel tool. Okay, so we've got our rotary tool here, and I want to show you kind of the setup. I'll try to do this the best I can. I may have to readjust the cameras where I can, see better, because I'm kind of doing this away from me. And I kind of need to do it in different angles to make it right. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put this down to about 10,000 RPM. I'm going to turn this on. You can see it's starting to run. And then I'm going to put this off to the side, and we're just going to start at the top of this one and see what we get. And I am going to have to turn it around because it's very difficult for me to see. So let me reposition the camera where you're going to be able to see, and we'll do that. Okay, got it up a little bit higher. I can see a little bit better this direction. So we're going to turn this back on. I'm going to go with 5,000 RPM for now, and then I'll go a higher rating a little bit later. Okay, so you can kind of see how this is looking. I'm going to get a sanding block and kind of fine tune it just a little bit, but I think we're pretty good from where I stand. And so we're going to see how this looks once we're done detailing it. Let me get a sanding block and I'll come right back. Okay, so I've got a couple of different sanding blocks. One's a thicker block and then one's a really fine block. I'm going to take the finer block, and really what we're trying to do is just kind of smooth out a little farther out into the roundness of our wall. So kind of looks like that once we've rounded it off. Look at this one here, and then let's do the same thing here. And look now at the difference of the roundness, right? So that's what we're doing. Same thing here. Okay, now, if you do not have a rotary tool, you can use sandpaper or a sanding block to do this entire thing. It's just a little quicker and a little easier, I think, by doing it with the rotary tool and then cleaning it up real nice with the sanding block. So before we start anything else, let's put it back together and see what it's going to start looking like. Okay, so you can kind of see the roundness now taking shape. You got to remember there's going to still be a sidewalk going through here, so we don't want that to go too much farther back. And we can always fill this in with some weeds or something like that to kind of give it the shape that we're looking for. But you can kind of see as we come around the front here, the same concept here, and a little more pronounced onto the driveway. Right, but again, I want that sidewalk to run smooth, and so we may end up, kind of milling that off in the front there on the driveway, but I'm not going to do that yet until I know for certain. I mean, we could simply just either mill it down or just take it on the Proxxon and cut a fraction of it off, but until we get all the details ready and then ready to glue all this down, I'm not prepared, nor do I want to do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to plug in the heat tool, the wood burning tool, and we're going to start preparing the blocks, carving the blocks that is going to go into this foundation here. So let's get set up and we'll do that. Okay, I've got the tool plugged in. I know you can't see it, it's kind of right in there, but it's getting hot. And so there's a couple of different ways that we can do this, okay? So one way to do this is simply just carve using your eyesight to do that with, and then start filling in the blocks. It's pretty simple to do that with. Or you can measure from the inch side, right? And we know it's 2 inches, so you can take, at a 1/4 inch per line, you can kind of do something along that area and then do that sporadically through, or you could go all the way through if you wanted and just kind of line them up like that. I choose really just to freehand, because as long as they are close, then you're not really going to see much of a difference. At least that's my thought. The one thing that I can do while the tool is still getting hot is, because this is going to be difficult to carve no matter which tool I use inside of this. So really what I just want to do is just kind of come down and mark a line where that is kind of resting, because I don't need to carve anything underneath it. So you can see that like all of the spots down here, I don't need to worry about that, right? I just need to carve what I'm going to be able to see up here. And then the same thing on this side. I don't need to worry about any of this stuff down here, just all the stuff that we're going to be able to see. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. This is going to be a little tricky carving in here because it's so difficult to get to carve. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work, but it is going to be a little bit tricky. Okay, so what I want to do is, what I want to do is grab a piece of scrap and show you kind of how to practice to see and make sure that your tool that you're going to be using is hot enough, right? So here's our tool. This is the tip I've chosen to use. It's pretty basic. And so how hot that's way hot. See, that's too hot. So as soon as you touch it, it melts. And you have to be careful. I mean, you can start getting some lines in there like that. And we want these lines pretty thick, because remember, we're going to put grout inside of them, but we don't want this so hot. So I'm just going to take this dial and I'm going to turn it back down to here and let it cool down, because what we don't want, and I always suggest that you practice on something that you don't need before starting on your main project. Imagine if I had started there, it would have looked like, it would not look very good. So this will take a minute to cool down. I mean, it's still really hot, but we want to push till we get about that sort of a depth with these lines. And if we turn it over, we can practice on this side. So if I was going to freehand this, and this is going to be a little bit, you got to make sure that the chord's where you want it and you're comfortable, and then you just start eyeballing where you want those lines. Now we can go back over it if we need to. Because you really want to make sure that you're getting in there so that grout, when we spread that grout on, it's got something in there to cling to. Okay, so this tool seems about right. Okay, so we will start our project here. Okay, that is effectively all of the brickwork or the stonework done. And so we've got to get a little small brush, and I'll go get that and bring it back so you can see it, but we're going to have to clean this up, and then this will be effectively ready to paint once we're completely done. Start cleaning this up a little bit, so let me get that. We'll be right back. Okay, so just wanted to see how that looks in there before I start cleaning it up. You can see how that's going to be, that's going to look nice just like that. So no worries there. Take that back out. And so I've got a brush, it's a nylon brush, and basically you just kind of go into the areas that we got, and you can kind of see it takes all those little fuzzy things, for the most part, out of there. Okay, so that is about all we're going to be able to do there. That's looking pretty good. So, and we can go through and clean it up a little more before we paint. But for now, I think we're okay. Clean our workspace a little bit. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to really start to focus on getting the driveway textured. And really the way we're going to do this is just simply just like this. So that's why I wasn't worried too much about kind of tailing this off down here. Okay, you see the texture that it's putting on there. It's just a aluminum piece of foil. Okay, so you can see the texture kind of on the sunlight there, maybe a little bit, but that's looking pretty good for texture-wise. And then when we put that in there, you see how that's starting to kind of look. And we'll texture the front of it as well, just to make sure we're not missing anything. And then that's kind of how we're starting to look right there for that. So then we also want to texture our stairs and our walkways. So if we start putting these back in, we're going to want to texture at least these pieces as well. Something about like that. So when that sits in, you can kind of see how that's starting to look. And then this piece here. Something about like that. So now we've got those stairs in. You can kind of see how those look. We'll do the same for our side and our front. So if these are the front, and this is how it's going to go, just like that. Then You can see the stairs all fitting in there. The stairs, for the most part, are all fixed. We just have to glue them in when we're putting everything else down. And so then we want to do kind of the walkways here leading up to the house. So we're going to do the same thing, and it's okay if we're out of the lines, because the house is obviously going to cover it up. So you want to be careful in the very front for sure. And we'll have to do this up here too. And you can also take this brush to add some pretty good texture to that concrete. The difference that makes in this light, but it's starting to become a little more porous, and that's something that we definitely want. I forgot to do that on the driveway. Obviously I'll have to do that, and on most of the steps, but for now we'll just continue to work here. Okay, you can see how that texture is starting to really stand out there. And so it's the little details that are going to make this really pop when it's all said and done. And when this is all glued down, this is going to look really, really good. Okay? And I'll probably have to, the house is going to sit up here, so you'll never really see that crack there. So I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a better idea of how we went through and detailed this. Okay, so you can see the house and the garage in place on the platform. You can see how everything is starting to take shape. You can see the texture pretty good in the sunlight there on the driveway. It's starting to look a lot more textured like concrete. Once it's painted, it's going to look absolutely amazing. And then the painting is going to help too. We may be able to put some of your darker lines for tire marks coming up through there to where it looks like the driveway has been used, and things like that. So put a little bit of a weathering effect on it. We can see that the concrete up by the house is starting to take shape for both of the walkways there. Once that is painted and then textured and weathered, it'll start to look pretty good, especially once we put the contrast around it with all the grass around the rest of the areas. And so you can see the steps going up, and then all the rounding that we did is starting to look really, really good. It's not squared off, it's more round. Okay. And so then also, since this is all textured here and it's been cut, you can see that if we want to texture it like this, it's pretty simple to do that. So if I want to do that, I'll continue to do that offline. I tried it a little bit. I think it looks pretty good. And you'll see some of that texturing. Once the paint is on it and the grout is on it, it's not... My fear is the grout, once I put the grout on here and start to wipe it off, it'll honestly fill up most of that texturing. So I may do that toward the end of this build. But there it is. That's what we've accomplished today so far. Hopefully this has kind of inspired you to maybe start your own build and see how that works for you. The sooner you start, the more time you'll have to plan, prepare, and get ready. So there you have it. And Justice and Libby wanted to come up and say hello. They are also helping me to build today. And so they are they are a bunch of clowns, couple of clowns, but they're good dogs. So I know you guys enjoy seeing them, so wanted you to get a little sneak peek of them there too. So, all right. Okay, well, hopefully that has helped to inspire you and get you motivated. It certainly has got me motivated today. It's like I said, it's been a beautiful day outside, and you saw how incredibly messy the sanding piece is, especially if you use a rotary tool. And then the fumes from the cutting and the burning of the foam, it's always a good idea to use good ventilation or to do that outside if you have the opportunity to do that. So what's coming next? So next we're going to focus then on cutting out the sidewalk and the curb. Once we get the sidewalk and the curb cut out and fit, we'll obviously have to go through and texture those in the same method that we just textured the driveway and the walkways for the base. And then we'll start to put all that stuff together, and then it'll get a coat of black paint. Once everything's painted black, then it is time to start texturing, or rather grouting the secondary base that the houses are going to sit on, do some final details with painting, and then you'll see it start to really come together. So hey, like always, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting on? Again, it helps me out tremendously, and I appreciate it. It helps the channel to grow, and it helps keep me motivated to keep pushing out content just like this. So please subscribe if you haven't done so already. So until next time, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again real soon.